Okay. Virus proof your minds. Today, I am with an amazing man, Geoff Hughes, and I am Dr. Angelica Underwood. I'm an expert in human development and learning. And my goal for these interviews is really help people and lead them through uncertain times so that we can give you hope, we can give you ideas, we can give you strategies on what to do right now during these difficult times. I know that worldwide, many of us are in lockdown, and you're wondering, like, what do I do? Like, how do you manage the mind? And with me is Geoff, and it's this topic I think is one of my passions, Geoff. Thank you for being here. And virus proof your mind. Like, it's powerful. Geoff is a global leader helping people build spiritual, emotional, and financial wealth. And as a seven-figure entrepreneur and speaker and author, Geoff teaches how to monetize your mind and activate that millionaire inside you. So, Geoff, thank you for being here. And I'm going to let you kind of tap a little bit into why virus proof your mind. I mean, what does that mean, and how can we even start doing that?
Well, I'm kind of playing pun right now on what's going on in the world, but to be perfectly honest, virus proof your mind is pretty much with anything. You see, most people don't understand fully that the information that you have coming from the world around you and the environment has an unconscious trigger inside yourself that maybe you don't even realize is there. Mm-hmm. So we could go deep into mirror neurons and how those operate. But here's the thing. Your internal system, your body, is actually 95% controlled from your unconscious mind. Mm-hmm. And your unconscious mind, essentially, it's a database. It's a database that doesn't forget anything. Mm-hmm. So, and its job, and a lot of people don't know this, its job is to keep you alive and to keep you safe. Mm-hmm. That's its one and only job. I guess you call it kind of like the reptilian part of the brain. It's what most people might have heard out there, which leaves only 5% of our decisions that we make from the conscious mind. Mm-hmm. So what happens is the information that we have coming in, our unconscious mind is doing calculations on what its next move is, what's going to happen to you if this event or this thing goes on. And what people don't understand as well is that your unconscious mind actually controls your central nervous system. And this is where anxiety comes from. This is where depression comes from. This is where all these components come from. And they create chaos within inside of each other. Mm-hmm. So the title Virus Proof Your Mind is to give people skills on changing the reality of what's actually taking place, where you have that opportunity in space. And maybe people have heard, the most important thing, the first thing in anything is becoming aware of what's going on. Mm-hmm. And that's where the conscious mind is operating. And the conscious mind processes information at 40 bits a second, and the unconscious mind processes information at 40 million bits a second. So what that means is what's going on around the world processes from the unconscious mind at such a rapid speed, hooked up to your central nervous system and giving you these feelings, which then you're acting or reacting upon. So what that means is all of a sudden the news comes on. And here's my first tip to anybody. Don't watch the news. Mm. The news will automatically trigger your unconscious mind, because on the news, very rarely, I'd say less than 1%, I go on and watch the news and hear anything positive. Mm-hmm. And if you understand what the news's job is, psychologically, they know how to get viewers. Mm-hmm. How do you get viewers? Knowing that the unconscious mind controls 95% of everything you do. So when information is processing from the television and it's negative, we're going to be attached to the TV because we're going to be looking for our safety, looking for chaos going on in the world. from a safety point. And this is literally going on as the reptilian brain looking to, create this safety that really doesn't even need to be there. And in fact, your unconscious mind doesn't even know the difference between reality and imagination. This is why we can think of something that's not even taking place right now and stir an emotion as if it's happening right now.
Absolutely.
So watching television and knowing what their job is to get eyes on the television so that they get commercials and advertising money to put in front of you their services or whatever company it is. If they put positive stuff constantly on there, they know that we as users are never going to sit there and watch through it. It's boring, according to our unconscious mind. It's looking for things to keep us safe. So rule number one, I literally have 5 televisions in my house. I have no cable. I have nothing going on inside of it. And we choose not to watch television for the most part, even series of television that bring up negative feelings. Because then you become attached or addicted to the negative feelings that either the show is and certainly the news. So we don't know what's really going on. All we know is the news's job is to rearrange or create chaos to get us to watch it. And what does that do? If anyone's experienced a deer driving down the road, your headlights are on, and a deer is sitting there. Does it run away or does it stop and look in fear and then get hit?
Right.
And what's happening with us is we have complete inaction because all we're thinking about is what's going on, what's going to happen. And we're conditioned this way. Negative thoughts. You're a doctor, you understand negative bias, right?
Absolutely.
You understand what's going on. You know what's going on within our body. So the very first thing is stop reading articles, stop watching the news. And I know a lot of people might say, well, I want to know what's going on in the world. Well, quite honestly, I'll be perfectly honest. None of them are actually going to share with you what's actually really going on because it doesn't create excitement. We've heard of sensationalism. We've heard of fake news. Their job is to sensationalize and make us in chaos so that we're pinned to their news channels. It's ridiculous.
Right. And then it's repetitive. It keeps going on and on and on and on. And the fear is so stuck in our body that it creates a feeling of being stuck and not being able to take action. So I know that one of the things that you're saying is that the coronavirus has infected us, right? And it infects us through the news and the information we're gathering. So you talk about 5 things that we can do right now to protect ourselves. Like, can you mention, maybe the 5 briefly to our audience so that they can take some.
Well, I want to share with people the power of this fear first off and what it's actually doing to our body. We've heard of the placebo effect. I don't know if anyone's heard of the nocebo effect. And the nocebo effect is the exact same thing, but on the negative side. So what happens when we go into fear, and I'm going to share with people, if you don't mind, a little bit of biology so they actually understand how their actual body's working. So because our mind does not know the difference between emotional pain that's going to happen in the future, or physical pain, it just responds chemically the same way. It's literally acting the same way. So when we're telling everyone or having them in a place of fear, what happens biologically inside of our body is it goes into stress. And our body releases a thing called cortisol, which is actually our stress hormone. Most people don't know this, but cortisol's job is to conserve energy. Now, how does it conserve energy? Well, people might ask, and this is a great identifier because we're talking about a sickness that your immune system is going to have to be responsive to cure. So our main two energy suckers in our body are our immune system and our digestive system.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe people have experienced when they're stressed out, they don't become hungry. They're not hungry, right?
Absolutely.
So the cortisol releases into your body, shuts your immune system down. Keep that in mind. Nothing is going on. And the reason that it shuts the immune system down is to give you energy to get away from the saber-toothed tiger back in the caveman years. It's to give you that extra rush. We've heard of people, and then the adrenaline goes in. This is to give you that rush. Epinephrine, there's a lot of things that happen beyond that, but that's like a fight or flight. Like you're literally going to die and you need to do whatever you can to save yourself. That's what your body thinks is going on.
Right.
So the nocebo effect is A, we're shutting our immune system down, and B, we're actually calling for sickness to come onto us. And when people go in for organ transplants, they actually inject you with cortisol because they want to suppress your immune system. It's called an anti-rejection drug. It wants to suppress your immune system from attacking the new organ within your body. And in fact, the first person that ever got a heart transplant passed away from that because they caught pneumonia. That's how dangerous fear is, especially when we're talking about a virus, which they're sharing has. Especially, could you imagine if you were in the age demographic that they're talking about that is so susceptible to killing them?
Right.
So not only do we have this epidemic going on or pandemic that they're saying, but we're also sharing it and we're creating chaos in these people and their future thinking that, oh my goodness, if I get this, and in fact, their body's releasing cortisol saying, hey, immune system, you need to be shut down right now because you need energy. And what do you think's going to happen?
You're going
to get this virus. They're going to get this virus, and this virus is going to get inside you. And because you're stressed out, you're telling your immune system to not fight it. And then guess what? It spreads, and then the effects are even worse.
Absolutely.
So you're almost better off not even knowing it's there. You have a better chance than creating a futurization of something actually that is going to happen to you because your mind knows no difference.
Right.
So
I mean, based on this fear, because I mean, they're announcing it, it's on social media, people are talking about it, they're telling us, don't go out, you're in lockdown, stay inside. So there is a lot of fear and there is a lot of anxiety that we're feeling, and I'm going to include myself in it because it is an experience. So what do we tell people? I mean, what can they do to reduce that cortisol level to come down and the stress level to be reduced? I mean, what are your suggestions?
Well, I mean, number one, stop reading what's going on in the public. Stop watching the news. That's the first thing. You'll literally remove a lot of anxiety just from that, from not constantly, because I'll share with you, people get addicted to finding what the update is and constantly in that, and then constantly looking in the future, how am I going to be safe? And then they're like, oh my gosh, the work's going to be gone for 8 weeks, maybe 12. They're talking June or July. Oh my goodness, I have a mortgage. I got kids. How am I going to do that? This is literally what's going on. And probably a lot of viewers, this is what's going on with them right now. So shutting that down completely. Number two, you want to offset cortisol levels. You want dopamine. You want serotonin. What's the number one way to get dopamine and serotonin naturally? Exercise. Exercise. Bringing your heartbeat up at least to 100. And again, this is based on you being healthy. So if you're not, go check with your doctor but I get my heartbeat up to 140 beats per minute every single day for the most part, to condition, because our cells need that. And then guess what happens? Most people have probably experienced where you had a really good workout and at the end of it, you have this rush of dopamine. You feel like energized. You feel like great. Well, guess what? You increase your immunity because it thinks that it's not in a fight or flight mode anymore. It's like, whoo, yeah, I'm safe now. I'm good. I don't feel that anymore. The next thing, and this is something that I do on a regular basis, is I actually meditate. So every morning I get up and I give myself a space, and that just gives me a space of like not thinking. It allows me to focus. It allows me to have clarity. It really gives me that next level. And I think more people nowadays, more than ever, need a little bit that little bit of that in their life. And it's not like, I know a lot of people. I remember when I first got involved with doing meditation, the first thing I was thinking about, I was like, oh my goodness, they're probably on a yoga mat, yogi with their legs crossed, and they're just meditating. I'm like, that's weird. I don't know what's going on. That seems like hoo-ha. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But then when somebody explained it to me, what it actually was is literally meditation is the practice of focus. And that's one thing that we need more of. So the ability to be able to focus and make clear decisions based on what's happening now. A lot of people hear the power of now. What's happening right now? Not what's going to happen in a week, tomorrow, the next day. That's going to release a lot of that.
Right.
Awareness. The next piece that I use a lot of is awareness. And this is something that takes practice. There's two questions I ask myself. Two questions. What for? And is this working for me? This gives me the ability in the moment when a feeling comes up, I'm going, okay, so what is that for? Why am I having that feeling? And then I have the ability to stop and go, well, is this working for me? Does this work for me? That this feeling, and then the idea of what's actually creating it. And people don't understand that feeling in itself, with the central nervous system, is just backlog or dialogue of past experiences, basically keeping you in a space of don't do it again because I didn't like the emotional feeling, the physical feeling that we experienced at that one moment.
Right.
You know
They
what I
could
mean?
even ask, is it true for me now? Because it could have been true in the past, but now it's no longer true and it doesn't even serve them,
100%. I mean, yeah, that's very, very wise. Like, is it true for me now? I mean, it's that question in itself will give you the space of. And here's the thing: when you first ask yourself that question for the very first time, the feelings are still going to be there, and you might even ask yourself, "This isn't working. They told me to do this." Well, it's just like anything; you have to do it repeatedly, over and over and over again, till you become conditioned. And I use that word a lot, conditioned, because we as a society are conditioned a certain way to be.
Right.
And most of our conditioning has actually been indoctrinated into our life between the ages of 0 and 7. And they've known it for hundreds of years. 80% of all your beliefs are in place by the time you're 7 years old. Right. Aristotle has one of the most famous sayings, show me a boy till he's 7 and I'll show you the man. They knew hundreds of years ago that the environment that you raised a child between 0 and 7, that when they get to an adult, they're literally going to repeat that same environment between 0 and 7. And that's because we're operating on such lower frequency. So there's another thing that I like to do. I like to get up in the morning. I like to listen to binaural beats. I like to get myself into theta. And even if I can get in the opportunity of getting into delta and learning something new. That's another thing that is going to give you more dopamine. And go ahead.
Right. And what happens is when you're in that meditative state and you're in that theta or even delta state, what happens is that, I want to take it up a little. When you're in alpha or theta, you have that surface level beliefs or old beliefs or old emotions that are surfacing, they're coming up for you. And then you begin to have that awareness. But that's when you ask, is this true for me? Or you can jot it down so that you are more conscious of the repetition that's coming through. Because when you get to theta or delta, inspiration comes in, right? New ideas, new solutions will pop in because you begin to see with clarity. Of course, it takes practice. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes practice, but it's a beautiful practice to have, to learn how to meditate. So I'm so glad that you're bringing this up because it is so needed right now. And I think that's like the number one thing that people need right now to reduce the stress and that cortisol level that you're talking about.
100%. And then the other thing is I'm just like everybody else. Everyone's saying, don't go out, don't travel. I'm here. I've got a family of 5. I've got 3 kids sitting here. I got my fiance, and I love going to the gym. That's one of my outlets, like physically going to the gym to lift weights. So my world's changed a little bit. It hasn't changed too much. I am an introvert, and I generally don't go out and I work on the internet as is. But one thing that I even do, I mean, I'm doing it even more now because of where I'm at, is learn. People don't understand, when you start to learn something, that gives you confidence. You're like, wow, that's new. That's cool. I know when I learn something and then I can see how it applies to my life or can make my life even better. What does that feel like? It's like unbelievable. You all of a sudden you're like, hey, I read this thing today, and you start sharing it with friends and you become excited. And then what does that happen? What happens with that? Oh, you're taking your mind off all the stress. You're giving yourself dopamine and serotonin, because quite honestly, humans are absolutely junkies for dopamine and serotonin. And most people don't know this. You can actually get dopamine and serotonin from negativity, and you can get it from positivity. And we become addicted to this. Joe Dispenza's a guy that I absolutely love, and he talks about how we become addicted to feelings. We become addicted to feelings. So learning something new. I'm learning something. I've never been a copywriter before. What do I got? I'm like, you know what? Here's an opportunity. This sat on my shelf for a long time. I'm like, yeah, Joe Vitale. And then I'm like, and then in the evenings, I'm like, okay, well, what else do I want to do? Greg Braden, The Science of Self-Empowerment. Understanding. And the cool thing with this, and the reason that I'm opening this book up right now, is because what we're going on with right now, he's very biological based with spiritual. And it talks about how epigenetics and
I don't know that one. You have to post it there, you know.
I will.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, you can fill yourself with so many more positive pieces within yourself. Your household, your environment, the people that you're around. Be the beacon. Be a beacon of light when everyone else is not.
Exactly.
What does that look like? What does that look like? It means that you be very protective of your energy. You be positive externally, and you stay away from, and I share this with you, and sometimes it's some of the people that are closest to you in your life that are just doom and gloom, and stay away from it. Because guess what it does? It's actually lowering your immunity. It's putting you into a state of the deer, and it's putting you in a space of now more stress, more worries, more creation of something that hasn't even happened. And quite honestly, it's not giving you the space to be your true self. And your true self is the person that can create beyond in the conscious mind, not your unconscious collection of old past. Those are just experiences to protect you. Your conscious mind is the one that allows you to create. It allows you to think of those things that maybe, and here's the thing, people right now, they're really worried about their jobs. They're worried about their income, because again, that goes back to safety, which means money, which means a house over our head, which means that we can pay for food for our family. It means all of that stuff.
Right.
So we start worrying about it. Let's stop worrying about it, and let's start looking at an opportunity or space to grow, because there's a huge differentiation between things are happening to me and things are happening for me. Right now, everything is happening for us. I believe the universe is always giving feedback. And right now, this is giving the space right now for people to grow, to come together, to create something new. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think we were put on this planet to work for somebody else for 9 to 5, to pay our taxes, to save our RSPs, to die. I believe that we were all born to make a difference, so much more than where we are right now. But we've just been conditioned and locked in a box and told us that this is the way things are. I can't dream. I don't know how to do that. This is just unbelievable. Start surrounding yourself with the people. Look for those people that have the results. Look for those books. Look for those learnings, and take this time, because this is literally an opportunity right now when most people don't have. Before, everyone used the time as a reason not to get the things that they want. Time and tired, and I can't. Now we have more time than ever.
A lot of time, yeah. And that's why for those of you that are listening, I'm doing these interviews and I'm interviewing experts like Geoff because we want to bring golden nuggets to your home. Your home, there's more time. And like he's talking about growing, he's talking about if you want to be amazing and you want to do great things, then you need to be able to learn, discover who you are, have awareness also of the things that you're capable of doing. And so Geoff, I know that we can go on and on because this is like my favorite topic, going within. It's my favorite topic because I think that in order to really make a change, we need to change ourselves, right? We need to find our superpowers within ourselves, tap into those skills, and then being able to bring them out so we can serve. But I think right now we need to build strong communities. We need to provide support. We need to enlighten people, share our light with other people, which is what we're trying to do now. So we're going to ask you a big favor. If you could please if you can share so that we can reach more people that are looking for one word that will make a difference in their life. And what Geoff shared today is really important. He was talking about cortisol and stress and how it impacts your immune system and how it affects you. We need to get this information out to more people so that their immune system is not impacted and they take control of their lives with the information that Geoff just shared today. So comment below, like, and ask any questions. I'm sure Geoff will come back and answer, and I'm going to be looking for any questions. Do you want to specifically ask them for a question or something that we want them to engage and comment?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, there's definitely questions, or there's scenarios or instances that are going on in your life, and sometimes it just takes a little bit of a different perspective or a different way of seeing things because we've only seen things the way that we know. And years and years and years ago, I had my first enlightenment of personal development, and maybe people have heard of it. It was Landmark Forums, and I went to it, and it was the first time ever that I actually understood that there's more than just my own perceptions. There's the perceptions of other people. And maybe if we start seeing or taking the other people's feedback or perceptions, we can actually start seeing things a little bit differently. Because really, quite honestly, most of what's going on right now with everybody is perception. It's just perception. And your perceptions are triggering your reptilian part of the brain, which is linked to your central nervous system, which is creating anxiety, creating stress, unnecessarily. And I think at this point, more than anything, we need people sharing so they understand, because I find that a lot of people don't even know how they operate. How does their mind work? How does their body even work? We don't even share that. And there's something that I use quite often with people, because I notice a lot of people, they'll read a book or they'll go to an event, and maybe people have experienced this before, and I sure did, where you go to an event and you read a book and your dopamine and serotonin levels are so high, and you're like, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to be a different person, different relationships. I'm going to do all this stuff. And then 3-4 days after it, you kind of tail off and you end up back in your exact same cycle again.
Right.
And what I mean by all of this is there's a huge opportunity to keep momentum going with where we are right now, with all of these tactics that I'm sure Angelica has been sharing, and a lot of these experts have been sharing, that you can use to really anchor the new you, the new perspective, in a new way of thinking. Because I'm going to tell you right now, no matter what is going on in the world right now, worrying about it will not fix your current circumstances.
Absolutely.
Whether it's perceived to be good or bad, none of it will fix it. And in fact, it will just get you frozen like a deer in headlights. That's all it's going to do. So I think this is a really big opportunity for people to start understanding how the mind works. You would never go and take your vehicle and your car to a mechanic and say, I'm having engine problems. Mr. Mechanic, can you fix it? And he goes, well, yeah, I think I could fix it. I don't know how the engine or the car works or anything, but yeah, just leave it with me. You would never leave it.
Mm-mm.
You would never leave it. But that's what we're doing. We're looking for these false promises, or going to read a show or going to do stuff without fully understanding the fundamentals of the brain. And once you understand the fundamentals of how the engine works, you can take any engine to a mechanic. And if the mechanic knows how the engine works, he can fix the engine. Once you understand how your mind works and how everything works, that gives you context. Once you have context, that gives you awareness. Once you have awareness, that gives you the ability to change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true. It's like when you take it to the mechanic, if they don't tell you what's wrong, you can't change anything or fix it. But if you're capable of being aware of what's happening in your body, what are you constantly thinking and repeating, you can have control in the sense of saying, okay, I'm feeling this. Now, how can I find a solution for it? Where if you don't know what is happening inside you, you cannot change a thing, and you might end up spending a lot of money because you have no awareness of what's really happening inside you, right? How much money? I mean, I know that I've spent tons of money trying to find solutions until I really found myself, and then I was able to really create the change that I needed to be in a different state of mind and place spiritually.
100%. Awareness is the first key to change.
Yeah. So you talk about that ripple effect and how it could really impact our lives and how we can take control and charge of the things that we want. So do you want to end it kind of there and then tell us where people can connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, once you become in charge of your thoughts, you can create a meaning towards those thoughts. So here's the thing. For everybody right now, with all the perceptions and all the media and the talks, I mean, I know you going into a grocery store, they're talking about this stuff. You turn on the radio, the news is coming in. All over the internet, you're having pop-ups, all this stuff about coronavirus. I mean, I think probably right now, if you looked up Google Trends, I guarantee you coronavirus or COVID-19 will be the number one thing that's populated everywhere. And when I see that, my central nervous doesn't react to it. It literally doesn't. I'm conditioned to, I know what they're doing. I know what they're attempting to do, right? And it doesn't affect me. So I think a big thing is start asking yourself, why am I doing this? First off, if you're on there every single day looking up what's going on in the world, what's going on in the news, what's going on elsewhere, and it's constantly the same thing, and how is that making me feel? How's it making me feel? Mm-hmm. Because it's strictly driven around your perception of what you see in the future. And what you're seeing in the future is based on things that you've experienced in the past. There's quite the conundrum there. Mm-hmm. Your future that you see is based on the experiences that you had in the past. So what does that mean? What would it look like if you could experience something new in the future that hasn't happened in the past? What does it look like if you could go out there and do something and knowingly understand that it's not necessarily going to be the best, it's not going to be rainbows and butterflies. There's going to be things that are going to be frustrating with it.
Yeah.
But understanding that frustration and fear of failure and going and doing something new will get you out of your current loop that you're in, because what happens is as human beings, we live in a loop. We live based on our beliefs about ourselves, and we continue fulfilling that always. Mm-hmm. And the only way to get out of that loop is A, to understand it, and B, to create something new. So give yourself this opportunity right now to do something new, to start creating a new experience, to start getting new feedback from the world, to creating a new environment within your body, within your mind. And I can tell you, when you break past that piece, you will get momentum, because now the thought of creating something new is exciting. Myself, I love creating new things now. I'm a risk taker all the time, but was I like that always? No, not at all. I mean, if I talk to people right now about my story, which would take way too long into what this session is, you would realize that I came from the bottom, and I grew myself through experiences. And now no longer does my past experiences carry into the future, because in fact, my past experiences got me to where I am right now, which then creates gratitude. And you cannot be angry or sad if you're in gratitude. So my past experiences, I'm actually happy and grateful for them, because I'm here right now sharing my experience, which then gives people another paradigm to create something new in their life. So I'll leave you guys with that. Go out there and do something new, create a new perception, create a new reality, understand that these feelings of uncomfortableness, fear, distraction, I'm learning something right now. Literally today, I woke up early in the morning to go and experience something new. And as I was going through it, my body was like, oh, we don't like this. This is new. I don't get that. I understand it. There's frustration, but I'm like, here's the thing. I looked out on the other side of it and I started looking at my past things that I was doing where I was getting those feelings. And I was like, oh my gosh, I loved the outcome. What was the outcome? And now I can push through those experiences, be aware of them, and get a different outcome. So try that. Use some of those tactics that we gave today. And I'm guarantee you, Angelica is probably giving you a whole lot of her own experiences and tactics, including all the other professionals in there. And if you use these things, I promise you, it'll be a game changer. So I'll share with you where you can find me at. You can find me at www.geoffhughes.com. And in fact, on that website, you can actually find a free book on the mind. It gives biological and psychological factors that you can experience, and you can actually use those to understanding how the machine works. So then you have more context to what I'm talking about and what Angelica and probably what a lot of the other professionals are sharing with you as well.
I love it. I love it. And I want to thank Claudia and Alexandra, Audrey, and Roger. I guess he's your friend. He says, hi, bro. And Alexandra, Noel, yes, you need to catch the replay. He shared amazing information. So we were going to ask a special favor that you share so that we can reach many other people that are stressing and have no idea how to deal with the stress and the anxiety, especially when it's in the body. If you feel stuck, if you feel a lot of anxiety happening in your body, what I recommend is that they move, do exercises, do something fun. I think it's your time to have that family time and do game boards, do cards, do something to have fun and distract the brain, the mind, right? And again, I'm Dr. Angelica Underwood, and you can find me, just look up Angelica Underwood, and you can find me in several of the social media. Where I do want to invite you is the Master Manifestor Lab, where I help people turn their dreams into reality. So if you want to connect there, it's absolutely free also. And connect with Geoff. I was looking at his website. He has a lot of blogs. In fact, he talks specifically about the virus-proof your mind, and he has 5 tips on what to do. And watch the replay if you're catching us at the end of this interview. So again, thank you, everybody. Virtual hugs to everyone. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you.
Thanks.